Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here doing a deck profile in a different way, which we are going to do some Monster Strike deck profile. And as you know, I don't actually have the cards, but I've been experiencing some of these builds, and probably if I actually get the cards later, I might actually build them. So I'm using this deck log from Bushiroad to build a deck list, so you can actually see my deck list and probably just use it. And you can see there is a code like deck code JT55 that you can directly use. If you do want to check out the list like this build, you can do it yourself. If you need any help with deck log, feel free to comment down below, or just let me know if I need to make a video to let you know how to use it. But I think there are also people already done that. So without further ado, let's go into the deck profile. So we also can get to see the ratios right here, but that's another thing. So first, let's go about the right line. So first I am using the egg because we have to use the egg in order to become a striker and in order to actually do anything with Monster Strike. So here comes the egg, and a great one, only one, and not more in the main deck, which is Amida. But of course, if you do want to use more of her, you can probably try. But her skill, which mainly what I use is for the Vanguard skill, which is egg skill, so +1 to draw a card, because the egg doesn't draw you a card even if you go second. So this is in a way trying to help you get some card back, so I think she's good for that. Her second skill is when she boosts, if you are personal riding, then you can soul charge 1, and during the battle this card will get a 5k power. So isn't bad, and this card do use a lot of soul charge, but this requires you to personal ride. So to me, that's one common like disadvantage you have with Monster Strike, that a lot of skill requires you to personal ride in order to do it. Kind of like Magnolia, that you need to personal ride to get the full effects off, but this is a little bit worse because you actually need to personal ride to do it. The second skill, if like you don't personal ride, you don't even get any part of the skill. That's something that I do hope some it can be fixed in the future, but we can only work with what we have right now. And for grade 2 lineup, now there's also a lot of choices that you can do, but for me, I like to use Sherlock Holmes just for a little fun element, because the skill is when this unit attacks, count of +1, and then you declare a grade from 0 to 3, so you cannot declare grade 4, grade 5, only 0, 1, 2, and 3 from there. And then your opponent can choose one card from the hand and reveal it if of that grade that you declare, and if they do, during the battle this unit will get 5k. If they choose not to reveal anything, then during the battle this unit will get 15k and 1 crit. And also do remember this skill is both Vanguard Circle and Rigard Circle, so that you can even just call her as a Rigard and use the skill, which is even great, because when you first ride her as your grade 2, your opponent's resources is quite limited, and they also need to discard some cards for ride deck, which can be a hint for you to gain the 15k, like what they drop, then you just call that number. Sometimes they just don't have it. And when I'm facing this deck, facing this card, I was using like Sogar, and then I drop a grade 3 order, and then my opponent just declare grade 3, and because they know I only want like playing very last grade 3s including orders, and if I drop one I probably won't have another one in hand, so they caught. Yeah, so this is kind of a fun element, and you probably will see this card shines in another deck fight that I'm going to post up later. Of course it's not exactly this build, but you can see how fun this card is, and until now I still think this card is the best card of the whole set to be interesting. Okay, so next we have our key, which is Pandora. So she's our main ride, also using ride deck. We also have 3 more so that we can personal ride. And her skill is when this unit appears on Vanguard Circle, if during the turn you did personal ride, you choose one of your opponent's unit and minus 10k, which usually will be a opponent's Vanguard. And the second skill, active skill, so +1. During the turn, this unit will get plus 10k. And if your opponent's Vanguard power is lower than the original power, then instead of just this unit get 10k, your front row units get plus 10k. So once you personal ride, you so +1, you basically get a front trigger. And of course, if you personal ride and you can get to minus your opponent's 10k more, so they are usually get to 3k while you share 10k to all your front row units. But do note that it's an active skill, it's not a permanent skill, so you do need to have those units in the front row when you use the skill. So don't just soul blast and say plus 10k and then move some units in front and think you can do it. No, you need to have the units on the field on the front row, use the skill plus 10k, then you can move them around with 10k, still stick with those units. And this basically is how you win games, minus your opponent's power plus yourself power, do some big power attack. That's it. Very simple, very easy. So this, I think this deck is actually a very easy to pilot and quite straightforward. To some people it could be a little bit boring because you just minus power plus power, try to do something and then just swing and then pass turn, go to your turn again, do the same thing again. But if you are trying to get into Vanguard or even just because of Monster Strike, I think this is a good entry point to learn something basic. So let's go over the other cards in the main deck. We have our Zakamoto Ryoma, so it's a grade 3 in the deck, and this card is another star in many builds of Monster Strike because of his skill. Active skill, Vanguard and Rigard Circle, which you will always use it as a Rigard, I think. Counter +1, during the turn this unit will get plus 10k, and if this turn you have personal ride, you can also so +1 to choose 2 of your other units and plus 10k. So as long as you personal ride, this card is a counter +1, soul +1 for a front trigger, similar to Pandora, which you can see the soul usage is quite high. That's why sometimes some people will, if they are confident with their personal ride, they will use more meter. If not, you will need to find yourself some way. Yeah, but that's basically how this card is good at. You don't need to do a lot of things, you just need to personal ride, and even just counter blast swap a plus 10k can sometimes change games because extra 10k's is always helpful. Now, then grade 2s, first we use Komachi. So this is another triple rare and it's very good. When this unit appears on the Rigard Circle, in return, if you did personal ride, you choose your opponent's Vanguard unit, not Vanguard, any unit of theirs, and minus 5k. So compare, also combining with Pandora, you can basically minus 15k just by one of each. And if you have more, then you can minus more. But same thing, it requires you to personal ride, so you do need to find yourself some way to get yourself a Pandora. And then the second skill, also a Rigard skill, when this unit attacks, if the unit that's being attacked has their power lower than the original, counter +1 during the battle. When your opponents need to call cards from hand to Guardian Circle, they need to at least call 2 cards together. So it's a little bit guard restrict when you minus them power, trying to make a big difference and asking them, you just simply drop a PG and drop another card, you need to give me another card. So this is some method that you can actually gain some advantage, because this deck again is a very simple, easy to pilot deck that they do basically 2 things, minus power and plus power. so you do need to make not only the power difference works, also make the power difference more meaningful, and this card is going to help you that. But since you do need to basically personalize to get all the effects off, because even the second effects requires you to have power difference, and all of them requires you to personalize, so I'm only running 2. Just a little help to finish games, but other times you just use high power to try to push your opponents, and probably before you do your minus turns, you can make your opponents to drop enough PGs, so even with the 15k shield, they need to give you a lot of cards. That's the purpose. Next is Arsene. So this is another triple rare, but I think it's rather cheap. Then her skill is a Vanguard regular circle skill. When it's your attack count +1, you can put all your regard trigger units in the soul. For each card you put during a battle, this card will get +10k. So not often used, but if you do need some power boost through triggers, you can do that. That's probably the use. And we usually use her second skill more, which is when her attack hits counter charge 1, because your Komachi is counter blast, your Loma is counter blast, so, and even Aoki Shadow Homes is using counter blast, so you do need some kind of counter charge ways, and she is the best. And we do have another Bikazuki, I think it's Massamune. Sorry if I pronounce the name wrong. Which only running 1 off. So her skill is active skill. When this unit have a same unit on the same line, then you can discard 1 card during a battle. When this unit attacks, you can basically attack the whole front row. And when your opponent's regards retire during your turn, you can choose one of Vanguard at +5k. So the retire doesn't say you need to be by effect, so when she attacks all your opponent's front row and basically take 2 down, you can get your Vanguard 10k plus, creating the power difference even more. Only requires you to drop 1 card in hand, no Soul Blast, no Counter Blast, which is great, but she's only a 9k, so unless you do have a boost, she isn't that helpful. So I'm only running a 1 off, just in case if I want to do a front row cleaning, then I can at least have something to do it. And this one, I think in English is a VC. So this card is something that I didn't actually notice because it's a common, but when I explore into the deck a little bit more, I find him quite useful. So his skill is in a drop zone, counter blast 1, call his unit out, and +5k for the time. Because you don't always have a good booster, and your resources running out actually quite fast, and your key units always get like removed by themselves or just taken down by opponents because they are so good. So you do need to have something that at least you can simply revival, make them useful, because even Arsene is a 10k with a boost. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to hit anything sometimes, but obviously you counter blast 1, you get 5k, and it's reborn from grave, so you can keep reusing it like every single turn. Now next, entering grade 1, first I'm running 2 of the Abel. Is another triple rare, so this deck actually costs you quite a bit because we use quite a lot of key triple rares, but they are just that good. So her skill is active skill, and got radio circle, post 1 card from your hand to the top of your deck during the turn. This one can +10k and shuffle your deck. So her use mainly is after you use your Pandora to do your 10 rolls. If you are that unlucky to get the Overtrigger in your monster box or in your hand, you can use her skill to put that Overtrigger back to your deck and shuffle. So you have a chance to actually use your Overtrigger even if it's getting the monster box or gets into your hand, which is really great. but it's a triple rare, so yeah, only running 2. And then 2 of the Goemon. So this is another key grade 1 that we want to use because we want to personalize, and this card actually helps you to do that. When this unit boosts a grade 3 Vanguard, boosts battle ends, and if the attack hits, you can put this card in your soul, add this card 1 card, then search for a deck with a card with the same name as the boosted unit, reveal it to add to your hand and shuffle the deck. So this card also fills your soul in exchange with 1 card in hand, which I think is okay, because as long as you can personalize, there's a lot of skills that being active, and you do always want to at least find the personalized cards, because your monster box might actually eat them, so you do want to get them at least 1 in hand so they can do your thing, do your full blast at least for once. Yeah, and then 4 PGs, nothing too much to say right there. And we have a Tsukuyomi. So this card is kind of like a VZ, but this card works on the field. So her skill is active skill costs 1 and rest this unit, and choose one card from your drop and call to Riga Circle. So basically reborn anything you need, even if it's a Arsen, if it's a Sherlock Holmes, even just great ones, even just Goemon, anything, even like a Roma, just pick whatever you want, reborn it, and set the field. And then Overtrigger, I'm using Offer instead of Lucifer, even though Lucifer can heal your damage, but I prefer to get a crit after seeing quite a lot of games, because this deck requires you to push a lot, and if you can always find a way to push, there's always a crit. So yeah, and also a chance to retire all my opponent's regards is helpful, because there are times that I need to keep focus on my attacks towards opponent's Vanguard, and if I'm knowing a Overtrigger is coming, then yeah, at least I can plan it. Even though if you use like I think it's Garfell, that you can actually review the cards, but you can see that deck space is kind of tight, and I have to say that card is even more expensive, so I'm not suggesting you to get too much, but if you can get yourself like 1 to 2 to chuck in here, I mean that's fine. You can probably minus 1 to 2 Arsen here, and you can take one of her out, and then one of the Arsen out, then you can at least have 2 space. But if you only have 1, then feel free to take 1 Arsen out. I think that's totally fine. Yeah, and then for triggers, I'm running 4 of this crit, 3 of this crit, so a total of 7 crits, and then 4 of the fronts and 4 heals. So no draws, but this deck kind of recycles very well. An extra draw will just get yourself trouble with Gachadora, so yeah, trying to put focus on only fronts, crits, and heals. So also let's talk about the Gachadora, like as a conclusion to the deck content. First, you set it as on an order zone already, and you can rest this card to put the top card to your monster box. You probably do it once or twice for the whole game, because you don't want to do a lot to basically kill the deck. And then in order zone once per fight, if your opponent is Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, kind of about to rest this card, then put the top 10 cards of the deck to the monster box, and then from your whole monster box, choose 3 cards to call to the Riga Circle. Yeah. So the exchange effect is actually from the monster box, so even if you rest your Gachadora, you can still get to recycle your stuff. And after you do a 10 rolls gacha, if you really get like some triggers in there, like Overtrigger, you can simply use a same grade and a grade 0 to get it back, and then use a bell to put it back to the deck. So it kind of a backup plan, safety plan, if things go a little bit wrong, because it happens is a random 10 roll gacha and you can only do it once per fight, so you do want to prepare for that. But at the same time, you do need to do it quite fast, because if you do it too late, you don't have the 10 cards to do it, and that's just going to ruin your deck and ruin your playstyle. Because Monster Strike, you want to have fun with the gacha, and you just need to do it quick before your deck runs out. And through Pandora, through like Komachi, through Ryoma, to do all the power adjustments and then just swing whatever you have. Yeah. So that's it for this deck profile. I think I've explained the stuff that I want to talk about, and the list is actually quite easy to follow, I guess. But again, if any questions, feel free to ask below and let me know, because this is a new way for me to do deck profiles that I don't actually have the cards for. So if this works well, I can actually go over other Monster Strike deck profile, of course, and I can also talk about like Brand Gate. I can still talk about Kata Sanctuary. There's a lot of things that I can also cover, as long as I can use this as a tool, which I probably will for at least Kata Sanctuary and Brand Gate. Monster Strike, I will see if I actually have another idea, maybe on La Place, but we will see. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and again, let me know anything in the comments below if you have any questions, anything, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.